He was in True Romance with Christian Slater, where he was his buddy out in California, helped broker a drug deal. He was Superboy in the movie Copland with Sylvester Stallone. You would recognize him if you saw him. A tall guy, kind of
Doug would know from Do the
hair.
Right Thing, right?
He was in Do the Right Thing.
Sure, he was in that. He was in the TV show Justified. Like the last season of Justified, he was part of it.
He was just in the New Edition story. If you saw that recently, I think it was last year. He's in a ton of stuff.
He's in a ton. If you saw him, you'd know.
Film and TV roles, the list is long.
Yeah.
Curly hair, blonde guy.
Well, reddish.
Is it red?
Yeah, kind of reddish hair.
All right. Well, I thought it was blonde, but whatever. Apparently, I wouldn't know him if I saw him. I know who he is. I actually know who he is, and I'm not a big movie guy. So here he is doing a podcast with Ameer Abdullah, and the role that Abdullah plays in the offense comes up as a topic. Now, everybody knows that he's kind of been a disappointment. Trying to be fair, but yeah, right? Kind of been a disappointment.
Yeah, slow start to his career, injured, riddled, and...
Yep, expectations were higher than this.
Yeah.
So, here we go. And asked about his role in the offense, and here's what he has to say.
It's frustrating, especially coming from Nebraska, where I was the guy. I knew I was going to get the ball at least 20 times a game. And for me, it's not necessarily getting a certain number of touches. It's getting meaningful touches and getting into a rhythm. That's where it gets kind of frustrating, where, the coaches, I trust their game plan. They go in and, they're much smarter than me. They go in and they dissect how they want to attack the team we're playing and how they want to break down the touches. But it's hard when I come in, I get a carry, and I break it for about 10 yards. Then I come out for about 3 plays. Then I got to come in to, pass protect. Then I don't get my next carry until, the next quarter.
Okay. I mean, he mentioned in there, trust the coaches, et cetera, et cetera. And I think he's kind of has to be careful. I don't want to destroy him. I think it sounds kind of, if a guy is just talking to his buddies and is able to, take the filter off because he's just talking to his boys about how he feels,
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, you're a feature back in college, and you want to be that guy in the NFL, and he hasn't been. I mean, first year in the league, he only carried the ball 143 times, had over a 4-yard per carry average, but he fumbled it 4 times. That's been the knock on him, is that he fumbles the football. He's fumbled it 6 times in 326 carries. That's kind of high for a running back. The second year, he didn't play much. He only played in 2 games, carried the ball 18 times. And this is what's frustrating, because you see that he's got potential to break it. He had 18 carries at a 5.5 yards per carry average that year. But, it's 18 carries. It's not much to look at. He's got speed to burn, and Lions' offensive line is not known for opening holes. How many times have you seen running backs tackled in the backfield or right at the line of scrimmage because the blocking schemes break down?
Too many times.
Too many times. I think Abdullah has talent, but I agree with you. You got to be kind of careful what you're saying here. There's probably reasons that the coaching staff may not be comfortable handing you the ball 18, 20 times a game. It has something to do with you dropping the ball on the turf, among other things.
Then he kind of got into a little bit more detail with actor Michael Rappaport on his, what is it, I Am Rappaport? Is that the podcast? And more on Ameer Abdullah.
For me, what I've learned the most about Detroit and what I appreciate about Detroit is the fact that mentally I'm a lot tougher than I ever would have been if I feel like I would have went somewhere else.
Why?
Just because it's a very unconventional and different situation for me. I don't get the ball as much as I used to. Mm-hmm. With our pass-heavy offense, they use Theo a lot in the pass game. Mm-hmm. Unless they want to go deep and use me to just run past people, then they use me. Mm-hmm. And we don't run the ball much. I probably got maybe 7 carries a game last year, which is less than 2 a quarter if you really break that down.
That's tough.
It's tough. It's tough, especially when you have a lot of pressure on you to be that 1,000-yard back, and it's like, what do you expect if I'm getting 6 a game?
Right.
It's kind of tough. But I appreciate that because it's made me a lot mentally tougher. And going into the last year of my contract, I feel like I'm ready for anything.
Hey, man, we just want you to be a 100-yard guy a game at one point. It'd be kind of nice.
Here's the thing.
And he carried the ball. By the way, he carried the ball 6 times or more last season in a game. Every game but one. I should say, let's go double digits. 12 of the 16 games he played, would he play 14 or 16 last year? 14 last year. So 10 of the 14 games last year, he carried the ball 11 or more times.
Is that going to be a thing now? Look, I don't want to make something out of nothing. I don't. No, really, I don't. But does that sound like borderline complaining?
You know, it does. But the last 4 games of the season he played last year with the Lions, 6 carries on Thanksgiving Day, 1 carry against the Bears in a 20-10 win. He only carried it once. 6 carries against Cincinnati, 8 carries in the finale against Green Bay. Now it's 8 carries for 18 yards. You're not going to get the ball when you're carrying it for 2 yards a carry. The 1 for 8. I'm trying to remember back at the end of the year. Wasn't he banged up at the end of the year too? Thank you. So you're going to be reluctant to hand the ball off to a guy who's banged up, or to even have him play a whole lot.
I don't know. This is the type of thing. Remember when last week quotes came out from Theo Riddick about them signing a free agent running back and drafting a running back high. And Theo Riddick basically said, I'm not worried about it. His quotes, and I'll read these directly from the Free Press. I just want to win. Doesn't matter. I think our room has definitely gotten more competitive with some of the guys that are there. So I think that makes everyone want to work harder and bring their A game every day. We don't worry about that. We're adding competition to our room. It's never a conflict. I put my teammates first. I was always taught that as a player, as a young kid. I continue to put that out. So it really doesn't affect me. Even again, with Blunt being here, I'm just trying to soak up the playbook as fast as possible, because if I can do that, then it helps us all. I just want to win.
Well, I'm just looking back at
That's Theo Riddick.
At these last several games they played last year. Lions were epitome of running back by committee. There wasn't one back that was the bell cow. Basically, basically run the ball about 20 times a game, and the carries were divvied up pretty evenly, and they weren't very good for anybody.
I don't know. I think he just needs to be careful. You got Riddick coming out and basically saying, I'm not worried about it. I'm going to help my teammates. I just want to win. And you got the other guy who just walking a fine line. He's walking a fine line. He says, I trust the coaches, but then he gives all the reasons why he doesn't think he's been effective here. And it basically sounds like he's saying, it's the way I've been used.